My name is Sarah. I am 29 years old. I am sitting and watching my husband Michael sign the divorce papers in courtroom. We have been married for 6 years. He is laughing like this is entertainment. He thinks he has won. He thinks I am still the same girl he met years ago. He thinks I am simple. He thinks I have no power. He thinks I have no plan. He thinks I will leave this place with nothing. Michael always believed I was only a small town girl. He believed I was naive. He believed I had no real ambition. He believed I would stay grateful for his money and his name. He believed I would accept whatever life he decided to give me. He never understood that I was watching. He never understood that I was learning. He never understood that while he was busy breaking our marriage, I was building something of my own. The judge is about to read my financial statement. I can see Michael smiling. He is still smug. He is still sure that I need him. He is still sure that I will beg. He is still sure that his family will protect him. He is still sure that his lawyer will crush me. He is still sure that I am nothing without him. I sit straight and quiet. I hold my face calm. Inside I am steady. I know what is coming. I know that his smile will not last. Before I explain what happened in that courtroom, I need to tell you how I got here. I grew up in a small town in Tennessee. My parents were not rich. They did not have connections. They did not have fancy dinners. They had work. They had bills. They had faith. They had discipline. They taught me to work hard. They taught me to save money. They taught me to be careful. They taught me that every dollar should have a purpose. They taught me that pride comes from effort and not from showing off. When I was young, I dreamed of a bigger life. Not the kind of life that is all about appearances. I wanted a life where I could stand on my own. I wanted a career. I wanted independence. I wanted to understand how money moved. I wanted to learn how businesses grow. I wanted to learn how numbers can tell the truth even when people lie. I moved to Nashville. I went to Vanderbilt University. I studied accounting. I worked hard. I studied late. I took exams that made my head hurt. I still felt excited because I could see my future opening up. I wanted to work in corporate finance. I wanted to be in rooms where decisions were made. I wanted to be the person who could look at a situation and understand what was real. One day I was in a coffee shop near campus. I had books spread out in front of me. I was preparing for a financial analysis exam. I was tired. I was focused. Then Michael approached my table. He looked confident. He looked polished. He looked like he belonged everywhere. He was a third-year law student. He came from a well-known family of Nashville attorneys. He had that kind of confidence that grows when money has always been there. He looked at my books. He spoke as if he was doing me a favor. He said I had potential. He said I just needed the right guidance. At that moment I thought it was praise. I thought he saw me. I thought he respected my ambition. Later I understood it was an insult dressed as kindness. It was also a sign of how he would treat me for years. He believed he was above me. He believed he was my teacher. He believed he could shape me. He believed I was a project. Michael was charming. He was ambitious. He was attractive. He seemed successful even before he finished law school. He acted interested in me. I was surprised that someone like him wanted someone like me. I did not realize that he liked the idea of me more than the reality of me. He liked the idea of a girl he could upgrade. He liked the idea of being the one who introduced me to a richer world. He liked the power. Our dating life moved fast. Michael took me to restaurants that I could not afford. He planned weekend trips. He showed me fancy hotels. He showed me expensive wine. He showed me views and places that felt like movie scenes. I felt swept away. I felt chosen. I felt lucky. I did not see the warnings clearly because the gifts were bright and the attention was loud. From the beginning, he tried to change me. He did it with jokes and small comments. He criticized my clothes. He called my outfits basic. He suggested I change my hair to look more sophisticated. He made comments about my friends. He said they were limited. He said they lacked exposure. He said they were not the right circle for our future. He did not say it as a demand at first. He said it as advice. He said it as if he was protecting me. I listened because I wanted to fit. I wanted to be good enough. I worked part-time at a small firm as an accounting assistant. The pay was modest. The work was real. I loved it. I liked the logic. I liked the challenge. I liked the way numbers balance when you do it right. I liked the feeling of being capable. Michael did not respect that. He called it my little job. He said it was cute. He said I did not need it. He asked why I exhausted myself for pennies when he could give me everything. He did not understand that my career was not only about money. It was about identity. It was about self-respect. It was about independence. After about 18 months of dating, Michael proposed. He did it during a romantic weekend trip. Everything was designed to impress. The ring was stunning. The setting was perfect. People around us clapped. I felt like the main character in a perfect story. I said yes right away. I did not pause. I did not question. I did not wonder why I felt pressure to accept a life that already had rules written by his hand. We married in Savannah, Georgia. It was my choice. His family wanted a bigger wedding in Nashville. They wanted a grand event. They wanted their circle. I held my ground and chose a smaller ceremony. That was one of the few times I defended my own desire. Michael agreed, but his mother made her opinion clear. She said the location was respectable, even if the wedding was simple. Her smile was tight. Her eyes were cold. In that moment, I understood I was never going to be fully accepted. I was the girl from outside their world. I was the girl who did not belong. After our honeymoon in the Caribbean, we moved into his house in Belmead. It was a wealthy neighborhood in Nashville. The house was expensive. The furniture was sleek. The rooms felt cold. Everything looked like a magazine photo. It did not feel like a home. I tried to add warmth. I wanted photos. I wanted color. I wanted plants. Michael did not want that. He liked minimal design. He liked clean lines. He liked spaces that showed wealth and not personality. He wanted the house to look like a statement. Problems appeared quickly. Michael questioned my choices. He criticized how I decorated. He criticized who I talked to. He made small digs about my career. One day he met some colleagues of mine. Later he said accounting was common. He said I had potential but I was wasting it on small work. He spoke as if my effort was a mistake. He spoke as if he knew better. He spoke as if I should be grateful for his opinion. I tried to fit into his social circle. I spent time with wives of attorneys and executives. Many of them spent their days shopping. Many of them planned charity events. Many of them talked about vacations and brand names as if that was the center of life. They smiled at me, but I felt the distance. I overheard one of them call me Michael's experiment with the middle class. That sentence burned. I wanted Michael to defend me. He did not. He told me to try harder. He suggested I update my wardrobe. He suggested I take up tennis. He said they needed to see I was adapting. He spoke as if my identity was a thing to edit. Those early years were confusing. I had luxury around me, but I felt lonely. Michael gave gifts, but he did not give respect. He praised himself and corrected me. Over time, I started to shrink. I started to doubt my own choices. I started to feel like I was being trained. I was becoming the kind of wife he wanted. I was losing the independent woman I had been. About 2 years into our marriage, the tension became worse. Michael became controlling about money. We had joint accounts, but he treated the money like it was only his. He questioned every purchase I made. If I bought professional development books, he asked why. He said that money should be invested. Meanwhile, he spent lavishly on himself. He bought expensive watches. He paid for a new golf membership. He did not discuss those decisions with me. The message was clear. I was being monitored. He was being celebrated. I also became more isolated. Trips to visit my parents became less frequent. Michael always had a reason. He had a client dinner. He had a work event. He said rural Tennessee was too provincial. He spoke with disrespect about the place that raised me. He also pushed my friends away. He made it uncomfortable for them to come. He judged them. He mocked their questions. After enough awkward dinners, my friends stopped calling. My world became small. My world became his. When my firm offered me a promotion to senior accountant, I was excited. I wanted it. I had earned it. Michael did not support me. He asked if a modest salary increase was worth extra hours away from home. He said we planned to start a family soon. That was the first time he spoke about children as a plan. I was surprised because when I raised the topic before, he always said the timing was not right. Later, his mother pressured us at a holiday gathering. She asked about grandchildren. I said I was ready whenever Michael was. Michael changed the subject smoothly. When we got home, I confronted him. He became cold. He said children were a huge responsibility and expense. He said any child of ours would need trust funds and private schooling and the right connections. He said we were not there financially. I was confused. Michael made a strong salary. His family had generational wealth. I asked what we were waiting for. His answer cut deep. He said his money was not the issue. He said I had not established myself properly. He asked what I would contribute to a child's future. He attacked my worth. He dismissed my work. He treated my effort as nothing. That pain stayed with me. It did not fade. It became a turning point. I realized I needed independence. I needed to stop relying on a man who could use money as a weapon. I needed to protect myself. I opened a separate bank account at a different bank. I set up a small direct deposit from my paycheck. I chose an amount small enough that he might not notice. I chose an amount big enough to start building a foundation. I also began educating myself. I read about investing. I took free online courses about business management. I subscribed to newsletters about entrepreneurship. I did it quietly. I used private browsing. I tried not to leave a trail. I was careful because Michael liked control. I knew that if he discovered my plans, he would either mock them or try to stop them. I was no longer the girl who believed love was enough. I was waking up inside my own life. I was seeing the cage. I was planning the escape. While Michael continued his late nights at work, I started building my own future. I registered a small business. I named it Sarah Mitchell Financial Solutions. I built a simple professional website. I wrote about my skills. I explained my services. I created a portfolio. I planned carefully. Time was my biggest challenge. I had to work on the business without Michael noticing. I converted our guest bedroom into a home office. I told Michael I needed a dedicated space for continuing education. He barely cared. He dismissed my goals as cute. He only warned me not to let it interfere with our social obligations. He thought I was playing at ambition. He did not imagine I was building something real. My first client came by chance. I was at a coffee shop. I heard a woman talking about her business problems. Her name was Elena Rodriguez. She owned a growing catering business. She complained about expensive financial advisors. She said she could not pay $10,000 for a plan. She said she was losing money somewhere but could not find where. I introduced myself. I told her my background. I offered to help at a lower cost because I needed experience and case studies. She took a chance. I worked hard. I examined her cash flow. I found inefficiencies. I restructured her payment terms with vendors. I improved her scheduling and budgeting methods. I created an investment strategy for her profits. Her results improved fast. Her returns increased sharply in the first quarter. Elena was thrilled. She told other business owners. More clients came through referrals. Elena also became a true friend. She was real. She was hardworking. She respected my skill. She made me feel seen in a way Michael never did. She told me I had a gift. She told me I understood money in a way that could help real people build real wealth. She told me not to let anyone take that from me. I worked late at night. I worked when Michael traveled. I used quiet spaces for calls. Sometimes I used the closet to dampen sound. I felt both excited and scared. Each new client was progress. Each new client was also risk. If Michael discovered the truth, he would react badly. But I kept going. I learned fast. I made mistakes. I undercharged sometimes. I promised timelines that were too tight. I corrected my process. I improved my contracts. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned how to value my expertise. I invested in software and certifications. I hid the expenses. I mixed them with household costs. I paid in cash when I could. My client list grew. I reinvested profits back into the business. I also started investing in the market. I began setting aside money for strategic opportunities. Michael remained unaware. He believed my rising confidence came from adjusting to his lifestyle. He believed he had trained me into the right shape. He did not understand that my confidence came from competence. It came from results. It came from building something that belonged to me. A major moment came when I helped a tech startup founder restructure her finances. After my work, she secured a major funding round. The story appeared in a Nashville business magazine. I refused to be named. I said it was for privacy. But the credibility helped me gain bigger clients. Through Elena, I met Patricia Chin. Patricia was a serial entrepreneur. She had sold a company for 8 figures. She was launching a fintech startup. She hired me for a small project. She quickly became a key client and mentor. Patricia was direct. She reviewed my rates and said I was charging too little. She told me to triple my prices. She said perceived value changes when you price your work like it matters. I listened. I raised my rates. I expected clients to leave. Instead, I attracted more established businesses. They were willing to pay for quality. Patricia also introduced me to angel investing and strategic portfolio management. She explained that cash loses value when it sits still. She taught me to make money work through smart choices. Under her guidance, I began investing in emerging companies. I invested in Patricius Venture, which focused on artificial intelligence-driven financial planning tools. I started with small amounts. As my income grew, I invested more. I watched my portfolio expand. I felt alive. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Not the edited version that Michael wanted. The real me. I kept my double life. At social events, I played the role of Michael's wife. I smiled politely. I listened to conversations about shopping and charity committees. I attended dinners with his colleagues. I acted supportive. Inside, I was running a business. I was making decisions. I was building freedom. 4 years into our marriage, the surface began to crack. One day, I saw a message preview on Michael's phone while he was in the shower. It was from someone named A. It said, "Missing you already." The message vanished before I could read more. But the seed was planted. Michael became more distant. He often came home smelling like unfamiliar perfume. He claimed it came from hugging colleagues. He had late Thursday meetings that ran past 9. He had weekend conferences that had no websites. He had more client dinners at one specific upscale restaurant downtown. I did not confront him right away. I observed. I noted patterns. I collected details. One Thursday, I told him I was helping Elena with a special corporate event. Instead, I parked near the restaurant and waited. At about 8:30, Michael's car arrived. Soon after, a red Mercedes arrived. A blonde woman stepped out. I recognized her. It was Amanda Walsh. She worked at his law firm. I watched them embrace in a way that was not professional. I watched him kiss her in the parking lot. My hands shook. My stomach dropped. I took photos. I waited 30 minutes, then I walked into the restaurant. They sat at a corner table. His hand was on hers. They leaned close. I approached quietly. I spoke with a steady voice. I said, "This explains the late meetings." Michael jerked back. His face moved through shock, then guilt, then annoyance. Amanda looked embarrassed. She gathered her purse. She mumbled an excuse and walked away. Michael tried to smooth talk me. He said it was not what it looked like. I told him it looked like he was having dinner with his girlfriend while his wife believed he was working. The conversation was unreal. He offered a weak apology. He claimed it was only physical. Then he blamed me. He said I had been wrapped up in my little accounting projects. He said I was boring. He said I was unambitious. He asked when I last made an effort. I left alone. I drove for hours. When I returned home, he came back near midnight. He promised to end the affair. He suggested counseling. He proposed a second honeymoon. I did not know why, but I pretended to consider it. I told him I needed time. That was true. I needed time to plan, not time to forgive. In the weeks that followed, we both played a role. Michael became temporarily attentive. He brought flowers. He suggested date nights. I met with divorce attorneys while pretending to meet clients. Patricia recommended a strong attorney named Rebecca Torres. Rebecca laid out the law and the reality. She explained that Tennessee is an equitable distribution state. She explained that without a prenuptial agreement, the court divides marital assets based on fairness and not always equal shares. She explained that divorcing someone with family money can be complex. She explained that documentation matters. She told me knowledge is power. I began gathering information. I tracked assets. I copied documents. I recorded account details. I built files. I thought I was careful. Then I made one mistake. I used the shared computer and forgot private browsing for one search about Tennessee Divorce Asset Division. Michael found it. He confronted me with rage. He cornered me in the kitchen. He waved his phone with a screenshot. He accused me of planning to divorce him and take his money. He said I would have nothing without him. He said his family lawyers would make sure of it. I stayed calm. I said I was only researching after what happened. I asked if he would not do the same. He seemed less angry, but the threat remained. That night I moved my important business documents to secure cloud storage. I transferred records to drives. I placed those drives in a safety deposit box that Michael did not know about. I moved quickly because now I understood he could become dangerous when he felt control slipping. A few weeks later, I found another piece of evidence. I was organizing the closet. I found a jewelry receipt inside his dress shoes. It was from Tiffany & Company. It was dated 2 months earlier. It was for a diamond tennis bracelet costing nearly $12,000. I had never received it. I knew it was for Amanda. Even after discovering the affair, that receipt stung in a new way. It showed he spent what he treated as our money on another woman. Before I could process it, I heard the front door. I heard laughter. Michael and a woman entered. They came into the bedroom. They did not expect me home in the middle of the day. I stepped out and saw them embracing at the foot of our bed, the bed we shared for years. Michael looked surprised, but he did not even step away from her. He said I was supposed to be at work. I said I took a half day. I said I should have called first. What happened next was not dramatic in the way movies show. Michael became cold and practical. He said this saves him a hard conversation. He said he wanted a divorce. He said he and Amanda planned a future together. He presented terms as if he was generous. He said I could keep personal items and receive a small settlement to help me get back on my feet. He said the house and investments and furniture would remain his. He said his lawyers would be in touch. He told me to find somewhere else to stay starting that night. I told him the house was also legally my residence. I said I would stay. I said he and Amanda could find a hotel. His face darkened. Amanda pulled him away. As they left, Michael threatened me. He said I would regret refusing his generous offer. He said I would be lucky to afford a trailer in the worst part of Nashville. I closed the door. I leaned against it. For the first time since discovering the affair, I smiled. Michael had no idea what was coming. The next day, Michael moved many of his clothes and personal items out. I changed the locks that afternoon. It may have been legally questionable, but it gave me time to document belongings before he could take valuables. Soon his attorney sent a settlement offer. It was $50,000 and 6 months of living expenses. In exchange, I would give up claims to other assets, including the house. Rebecca said he was testing me. She said he assumed I did not know my rights or the full extent of marital assets. With Rebecca, I rejected the offer and began financial discovery. That process forces both parties to disclose assets and debts. Michael's side delayed and obstructed. Rebecca said it was a tactic to drain my resources until I accepted less. Michael did not realize I had been tracking our finances for years. I had records. I had evidence of accounts he thought I did not know about. Most important of all, I had my own resources. I had my business. I had investments. I had growth. Michael had no idea. Rebecca and I made a strategic decision. We would not reveal the full scope of my business and investments right away. In Tennessee, a business started during marriage can be treated as marital property. But Rebecca looked for exceptions and leverage. She emphasized that Michael discouraged my business and provided no help. She planned to disclose at the right time. She wanted Michael to keep believing his own story about me. Michael then started a social campaign. Friends avoided me. Invitations stopped. Neighbors became cold. Later, I learned he spread lies. He said I cheated. He said I was unstable. He said he tried to save the marriage. In circles where his family name carried weight, his story was accepted without question. That hurt more than I expected. People I shared holidays with disappeared. But Elena and Patricia stayed. Elena told me that people who believe gossip are not worth my energy. She told me to focus on building my new life. Michael also tried intimidation. He made late-night calls. He hinted he could ruin my career. He suggested he could report my business for tax issues. He tried to scare me. It did not work because my records were clean and careful. His mother, Margaret, also called. She spoke with condescension. She said they always knew I was not right for Michael. She said they accepted me because he chose me. She told me to take the offer and move on with dignity. I thanked her and said I would follow my attorney's advice. Michael made mistakes because he was overconfident. He failed to disclose some accounts. He underreported the value of stock holdings. He claimed certain assets were separate when they were purchased with marital funds. Rebecca documented everything. She built a case that would hurt his credibility. During separation, my business grew faster than ever. I designed a restructuring plan for a regional restaurant chain. They avoided bankruptcy. Their profits improved massively. Industry publications featured the story. I declined interviews for personal reasons, but the recognition brought new clients. Then I secured a contract with a national retail chain. I overhauled their entire financial strategy. It was a six-figure deal. It transformed my business. I hired employees. I rented office space downtown. I started turning down clients whose values did not match my mission. All this time, Michael still presented me as a struggling bookkeeper. Patricia introduced me to angel investors who wanted to fund fintech startups. I impressed them with my mix of finance skill and tech vision. They offered seed funding for a financial planning app one had been developing. The app used artificial intelligence to provide personalized advice for small businesses and individuals. We launched a beta version. The response was strong. Within months, we had tens of thousands of users. Major institutions began asking about acquisition. I also invested in other startups. I used my experience to spot strong opportunities. My portfolio diversified across technology, real estate, and emerging markets. I managed it with focus on growth and risk control. The night before the final court date, I sat alone and reflected. Years earlier, I had tried so hard to please Michael that I lost myself. His betrayal forced me to return to my own strength. I packed a small overnight bag. No matter what the judge decided, I would not spend another night in that house. My new penthouse apartment was ready. I purchased it through an LLC Michael did not know about. I furnished it for comfort and beauty and peace, not for status. My phone buzzed with a message from Patricia. She reminded me to remember who I am, not who he tried to make me be. The morning of court was crisp and clear. I wore a navy suit. It was conservative but confident. I wore one piece of jewelry, a small diamond pendant from Elena and Patricia. They called it my Independence Diamond. I arrived early as Rebecca advised. Michael was already there. He wore a tailored suit. He looked smug. His attorney David Harrison sat beside him. David was known for aggressive settlements that favor wealthy clients. When Michael saw me, he smirked. He leaned over and whispered to David. They both chuckled. They thought I was about to lose. Rebecca arrived. She looked calm and precise. She did not bring a crowd. She brought focus. She asked if I was ready. I said I was more than ready. The courtroom felt heavy. Judge Catherine Williams sat high above us. She had silver hair and sharp eyes. She had a reputation for fairness and little patience for manipulation. The hearing began. Michael performed like an actor. He painted himself as a devoted husband. He claimed he supported my modest ambitions. He claimed I repaid him with ingratitude. He told the judge he only wanted a fair resolution. He said he offered a generous settlement that would let me maintain comfort while I rebuilt my career. David argued that much of Michael's family wealth was separate property. He argued the house should stay with Michael because it was purchased mostly with his earnings. They minimized my contributions. They treated me like a dependent. I stayed calm. I did not react. I watched and waited. When it was time to sign an initial decree that officially ended our marital status, Michael made a show of it. He signed with a flourish. He laughed while he did it. He capped his pen with confidence. As he passed me, he whispered that I should enjoy going back to my parents' farm. Rebecca then presented our case. She was methodical. She showed evidence of Michael's financial deception. She showed hidden accounts. She showed lavish spending on Amanda. She showed patterns of control. She told the judge that Michael had not been forthcoming about marital assets as required by Tennessee law. She submitted documentation with account details and balances. Michael shifted in his seat. His smug expression began to fade. He glanced at David. David asked for a recess. Judge Williams denied it. She said she wanted to continue. She said she was interested in the undisclosed assets. The atmosphere changed. Rebecca continued piece by piece. She dismantled his story. The judge became more stern. Then Rebecca reached the point we had planned. She asked the court to consider my separate property that was established during marriage without any support from Michael. The judge asked her to elaborate. Rebecca explained that I built a financial consulting business during the marriage. She explained that Michael not only gave no support but actively discouraged me. She presented messages where he belittled my ambitions and dismissed my work. Judge Williams reviewed the communications. Then she addressed me directly. She said the court requires full financial disclosure from both parties. She asked if I had submitted complete information about the business. I said not yet. I said my complete financial statement was ready for submission today. Rebecca handed the clerk a sealed envelope. The judge opened it and began reading. The courtroom went silent. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. That was the only sign of surprise. Then Judge Williams looked up and said she would read the summary into the record. My heart pounded but my face stayed calm. She read the valuation of my consulting firm. It was based on revenue contracts and intellectual property. The figure was over $2 million. Michael's head snapped up. The disbelief on his face was sharp. Then the judge read the value of my investment portfolio. It included technology stocks, real estate, and startup investments. The number was over $11 million. Michael gripped the table. His knuckles went white. Then the judge read real estate holdings. 2 properties purchased within the last 18 months. The value was more than $1 million. Michael's face strained. His body became rigid. He looked physically ill. The judge then read the total disclosed assets. The number was more than $15 million. The courtroom stayed silent. Michael stared at me like I was a stranger. In that moment, I did not feel gloating. I did not feel cruelty. I felt relief. The truth was finally on record where his lies could not erase it. Judge Williams then asked Michael if he wanted to revise his claims about my dependents. Michael could not speak. David stood quickly and said they were unaware of these assets. He argued that because they were acquired during marriage, Michael was entitled to an equitable portion. Rebecca was ready. She pointed to the prenuptial agreement. Yes, there was a prenup. Michael had been so sure I would protect him that he never worried about what it might protect for me. Rebecca directed attention to a clause in that agreement. It said that any business enterprise created by either spouse during marriage without capital investment from the other spouse would remain separate property in the event of divorce. The clause was likely written to protect Michael's potential ventures. But the language applied equally to mine. I built my business without his capital. I built it without his help. I built it while he discouraged me. The judge reviewed the agreement and nodded. She said the language was clear. Rebecca then explained how I built the company from scratch. She explained how I used my own savings. She explained how I reinvested profits. She explained how I worked quietly and consistently. She presented statements from clients and mentors about my work and skill. She showed that my success was mine. Michael sat frozen. The man who laughed while signing papers earlier now looked shattered. His confidence collapsed. In the gallery, Amanda slipped out quietly. She did not stay to watch his fall. Judge Williams took time to review documents. Then she returned with a ruling. She said that based on the evidence and the prenuptial agreement, my business and investment portfolio were separate property belonging solely to me. Michael made a sound like a trapped animal. He tried to protest, but he had no ground. The judge then addressed his failure to disclose assets. She said it pushed the court toward a division of remaining marital assets that favored me. She explained consequences and formulas. The details blurred, but the outcome was clear. I kept my business. I kept my investments. I kept my properties. I also received a greater share of the true marital assets because Michael tried to hide and manipulate. The house would be sold. The proceeds would be divided in a way that favored me. His deception had backfired. As people began to leave, Michael approached me. His lawyer tried to stop him. Michael hissed that I planned it. He said I waited for years to take him down. His face was twisted with rage and humiliation. I looked at him and I felt something calm and final. I told him no. I told him I built something while he was busy destroying what we had. I told him that was the difference between us. Rebecca guided me away. Michael was left standing alone as the room emptied. The superiority he wore like armor lay broken around him. Walking out of the courthouse did not feel like a victory parade. It felt like liberation. With each step down the marble stairs, the weight lifted. I did not have to hide anymore. I did not have to perform anymore. I did not have to live in fear of being underestimated. Later, my company expanded internationally. My investments continued to grow. I used my resources to establish a foundation that helps women build financial independence. Michael tried to reach out after he learned my net worth. He tried to apologize. He tried to reconnect. But I was no longer the woman who needed his approval. I was no longer the woman who believed love should cost her dignity. If you are in a place where someone underestimates you, if you are facing betrayal, if you feel trapped by a story someone else wrote for you, remember this. Sometimes the ending is only the start of your real beginning. Your value is not defined by someone else refusing to see you. Your worth is not measured by their approval. Your strength can grow quietly until the day it stands in full light. And if you ever proved someone wrong who was sure you could not do it, if you ever had to stand up when nobody expected you to be capable, then I hope this story reminds you that your future can belong to you. Even if you have to build it in silence for a while. Even if you have to build it one careful step at a time.